Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Bloom, Group Publisher of Roofing Contractor, and welcome to the Best of Success podcast show. I've got two special guests today. I'm so honored to have with me my good friend Thea Dudley, who's the CEO of Pocket Protectors, aka the Credit Overlord. And also, we've got somebody new today. We got Ryan Ayers, who is the CEO and co-founder of Supply. Ryan, it's great to meet you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, Jill, thank you so much for having us. Excited to be here and share what we're seeing out in the field.
So Thea, let's start with you. So you and I have been talking recently. There's some changes that are coming up with Visa that every single contractor that is listening, this is critical because it comes to the bottom line and charges. What does everybody need to know?
Well, this is one of those things that it kind of ekes out, and it's not like they really promote it and say, here's what's happening. And the only reason I caught wind of it was because, Ryan and I hang out together a lot. And he sent me something saying, hey, look, this is what's happening. But Visa is really making some dramatic changes to their interchange rate. And I know it's kind of one of those fuzzy words that everybody knows, but doesn't really know what it does. But it goes into effect in October. So there's really a very limited time. That's why I brought Ryan along and said, can you break down interchange rates for us and explain what this actually means in layman terms?
Yeah, definitely, Thea. And just for a little background context, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Supply. We're an accounts receivable and payments platform that really focuses on making it easier for B2B distributors to manage their AR, get paid faster, and remove friction when doing business with their customers. So as part of that, we process a ton of payments and are very attuned to kind of what's going on out there. So really what's changing here is some implications around something called interchange optimization, which may be a term folks are familiar with, maybe not. Interchange, just to kind of start from square one, that's the fees essentially that the card brands are charging. MasterCard, Visa, Discover, American Express, they have complete control to set those interchange rates, whether we like it or not. You can't really negotiate them. They set them, and that's really what you end up paying. For context, that's the interchange rates usually represent somewhere around like 90 to 95% of the fees that you pay when you take a credit card. So this is the bulk of the expense when you're talking about credit card processing fees. Now, what these card brands do is they have something called interchange optimization, which essentially allows you to qualify for lower interchange rates when you provide more data with a transaction. So the idea being the more data you provide when you're going to process a payment, the lower risk that payment is. And so they're willing to process it at a cheaper rate. What kind of data are we talking about here? It's really, think of it as like invoice level data. Instead of just providing the total amount of the transaction, you're providing how much was the sales tax, what was the PO number, what was the invoice number, et cetera. So it's really kind of this metadata that you pass along that allows you to qualify for these lower rates. So it's a great thing for merchants. We find in particular, in kind of the construction space, a lot of the times these merchants have that information. They're paying invoices, they're paying statements, they have all of this data. So they should be qualifying for these optimized interchange rates. Now, the change that's happening is a new program Visa is rolling out called the Commercial Enhanced Data Program, or CEDP for short, another acronym for everyone to pay attention for. Essentially what they're doing is going to require more stringent data standards when you're passing the data along with these transactions to qualify for the optimized interchange rate. So what do I mean by that? Historically, and this is kind of a dirty little secret of the payment processing world, you could literally pass along anything as the associated data and qualify for those lower interchange rates. So literally, you could put 000 or 1234. You just had to have something. It couldn't be blank. Well, the card brands have kind of caught on to this trend. And now finally, with some of the advances in AI and OCR and machine learning, actually have a way to scalably police it. And so, Thea, like you mentioned, starting in October, Visa is actually now going to be cracking down and using AI to verify if the data being passed with these transactions is valid or not. And if it's not, they're no longer going to qualify those transactions for the optimized interchange rates. And so this is pretty meaningful too. I mean, we're talking, 25 to 75 basis points or 0.25 to 0.75%. I mean, this is real dollars when you think about the volume a lot of these guys are processing.
So Ryan, what do you mean when you say the data is being passed? Like, what are they doing with the data? Meaning the data they're collecting from the customer, like the personal privacy type thing, and using that in other ways? Like, what do you mean by data being passed?
Yeah, it's really, Joe, more around kind of the data associated with what's being paid for. So it's more that invoice level data.
All right.
So PO, invoice number, sales tax, et cetera. And so what this is really going to do, it's going to put a priority on having a payment system or payment provider that is connected and can talk to your accounting system or your ERP, right? Because that's where all of this data lives. Realistically, you're not going to have someone sitting there manually punching in, the amount of the credit card transaction into their terminal and then having to go in and try to enter all of this associated data by hand. So I think for folks out there, it really puts an impetus on making sure that your payment system is talking to your accounting system where you can naturally just grab this data and automatically pass it along without any manual work.
Well, and it used to be called like level 2 and level 3 is how it, for credit people or for, your accounting folks, it was called level 2 and level 3. And so that's how you were able to lower some of those rates. Well, now Visa's changed it to this CEDP and made it a little more complicated. But how long, Ryan, before the other companies? I mean, usually if one of them does it, you start seeing the rest of the dominoes fall. So is this just the tip of the iceberg?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's the world obviously has changed significantly over the last few years with the advances in AI and machine learning. And I think that was the big issue here. There was no way for these guys to really scalably police things like this. And, as a result, there was kind of a proliferation of this fake data practice of, just sort of passing along placeholder data. So I think for sure you're going to see, not just on this topic, but kind of across the board, there's new ways for these card brands to police things and enforce policies that historically maybe were a little bit tougher to do at scale. So I definitely think it's a trend we'll continue to see, Thea.
God, it's hard enough to get people to pay. And then you throw on now there's another level of complexity to the credit card. So what can we do? What can, businesses that are taking credit cards, what do they need to do moving forward? What do they need to know to protect themselves and get those lower rates?
Yeah. Step one is having a conversation with your processor, right? Which, it amazes me how often people sign up for merchant processing. It's one of the first things they do when they start the business, and then they never talk to that processor again. And we recommend being in, more frequent contact with your processor anyways. You should be watching your bills like a hawk. You are able to go back and renegotiate processing rates with your processor. That's something you should be looking at least on probably an annual basis. And I think that's kind of part of this conversation. You should go and ask your processing partner, hey, are you aware of CEDP? What are you guys doing to protect us? Like, are my transactions, going to be qualified? And really understand kind of, what their plan is. And if they don't have one, or the plan is, well, you've got to enter in all of this data now that you didn't have to before. I think it warrants kind of a conversation around, hey, does it make sense for us to look for a more integrated solution that's going to connect to our accounting system, and actually pull that data for us? And, beyond just kind of the lower interchange optimization rates, right? Like, are you manually entering every payment you take today back into that ERP? Is someone spending a ton of time keeping these payments in, right? So there's additional benefits here to having that connection between your accounting system and your payment system beyond just the interchange optimization rate. So I think it's just a really good catalyst, for folks to kind of look at their tools today. Have that conversation with their provider and make sure they're protected for October.
Sounds great. Well, there's no doubt, Ryan. We need to be talking to you also more often when we get on with Thea, so we can dive into the weeds on some of the technicalities. But all right. Well, it sounds like contractors need to be setting up some phone calls with their processors. How do they find you, Ryan? If anybody has any questions, how do they find you?
Yeah, so you can check out more information on our website. It's www.gosupply.com. That's also, you can find us on LinkedIn as well. And there you can connect and grab some time with myself or one of my team members to really kind of dive in to any of these questions in more detail.
Oh, absolutely. Sounds great. And Thea, if anybody has any questions, where's the best way to find you?
They could reach me at thea@creditoverlord.com.
Sounds great. Well, Thea and Ryan, thank you so much for your expert insight. This is really great for everybody to hear. Hopefully, it'll give some great insight to everybody listening so they know how to eliminate some of those fees. Anyway, but most importantly, if anybody needs to reach us, it is roofingcontractor.com or wconline.com. And make sure you sign up for all our free content, follow us on our social media channels, but most importantly, stay safe and healthy. We can't wait to talk to you soon. Thanks again, Thea and Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.